I'll be the first to admit that a lot of the time I think I'm smarter than the WWE. Some of that is due to my own arrogance. Some of that is due to not fully understanding the perspective from which the WWE comes from on things. But some of that, I think, frankly, is due to the fact that I do think myself and others as fans are more tuned in, more plugged in, and more connected with what the fans actually want than what the WWE is. So it's kind of like a cross of several different things. But even if you're one that really defends the WWE to the nth degree, and you're the one that always sits there and is able to find the positive out of a so-called negative, I would think you'd have to admit that many of you expected WWE in 2014 to go in one direction, and they went in an entirely different direction. All of this hope and all of this promise, and it really hasn't been fulfilled. I mean, let's keep it real. And I think the WWE has to be honest with themselves and acknowledge that they don't know nearly what they think they know. As much as they might like to tell us as fans that we don't know what we think we know, and, to a certain degree, they're absolutely right. We don't know what we think we know. But there are also those things that we do know, and we do know better than the WWE. So you get to Hell in a Cell, the next pay-per-view from the company. And there's no Brock Lesnar. You made the part-timer the champion. See yas in 2015. What that means is in the meantime, you've got to compensate for that lack of a world champion on your shows by making sure that you hit on all the other bases, all the other key components, and you make sure that you give the fans enough to make them, at least for the time being, forget that the world champion isn't going to be at Hell in a Cell, might not be at Survivor Series or TLC. You're not really going to see him probably until the Royal Rumble season. This is the chance for the WWE to distract you and do enough to make you forget about it, so that way when you do see Lesnar again, it really feels like a big deal. So now you get to what the WWE wanted to do. They've got John Cena versus Randy Orton at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell, I believe. And then Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins inside of Hell in a Cell at Hell in a Cell. These are your two featured matchups. These are your two marquee matches. These are the two matches that Hell in a Cell is ultimately being built around. And to be honest, I don't have a problem with that at all. Anybody that's watched me recently knows that I've been very adamant about the fact that the match that should happen, that has to happen no matter what at Hell in a Cell, is Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. And even if that means you get John Cena versus Randy Orton in order to clear it out, so that way Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins can face off at Hell in a Cell, then that's what you have to do. And they did that. I will concede it to the WWE that the way things were positioned, the way they had put things and presented them, they had to go down the Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins path, which they were smart enough to do, and they had to go with John Cena versus Randy Orton to give both of them something to do. I can deal with it. Doesn't mean I'll watch the match come pay-per-view time, but again, I can deal with it. But what I can't deal with is the mere mention of this being like a double main event. What I can't deal with is the notion, and the way it's being presented to me almost, is that John Cena versus Randy Orton could main event yet another WWE pay-per-view. It could main event yet another WWE pay-per-view. Let me reemphasize that again. It could main event yet another WWE pay-per-view. No matter how much the WWE tries to make this rivalry out to be Hogan versus Andre, Austin versus McMahon, Austin versus The Rock, I assure you, WWE, this rivalry falls short on so many different levels. In fact, the rivalry that these two guys have had over the years in a lot of ways perfectly embodies and crystallizes the problems with the current direction of the company and the so-called PG era. to sit there and even consider main eventing this match, to sit there and even consider saying that this is the most important match of the night, this is the match that the people will most want to see, this is going to be the primary drawing card for Hell in a Cell, is stupidity of the highest order. It really, truly is. Over the past year and a half, the WWE has had enough big-time matches that have been unfulfilling, flat-out disappointing, and got crapped on by fans and the audience members there live alike. You know goddamn good and well, WWE, if you have John Cena versus Randy Orton main eventing Hell in a Cell, that shit is going to get booed out of the building. That shit is going to get pooned. You're going to have a lot of your fans, myself included, that come that time will tune out the fucking pay-per-view and won't watch the main event, won't watch the last match of the night. We've been down this road time and time and time again. When can the WWE sit there and say to themselves, enough is enough, and it's time for a change? Here's Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. I don't really like that much what they've done with Seth Rollins since they've turned him heel. Again, clearly, as I said, and as is so often the case with the WWE, they do something for the fuck all of it, they don't have a plan for it, and then it kind of like half-ass works and half-ass doesn't. At least, though, with that said, Seth Rollins gets featured in big spots, in big segments, in big matches, in big moments, against big-time competition. That's a positive. That's a good thing. And then on the flip side, you've got Dean Ambrose, beyond question at this point in time, the single hottest character in the WWE. Not even close. In terms of the interest he elicits, the excitement he generates, the attention that people give him and what he's doing. Hottest character, bar none. No question about it. You've got these two young lions, two guys under the age of 30, two young guys that should be the face of your company, are part of that picture, two guys that should be big stars for you for years to come. And here you are, where you have this tremendous feud between the two of them, beyond question to me, even more so than Daniel Bryan versus The Authority. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins has become the feud of the year in 2014 for WWE. You have set this up. The time has come to end the feud. The time has come to have a big blow-off match. And for once, you actually have a match at a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view worthy of a Hell in a Cell gimmick, because the feud calls for a Hell in a Cell type of stipulation match. There are so many things that come into play here. So many stars that are freaking align that you say this, you say that. The bottom line is WWE. Just fucking main event Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. You cannot possibly be that stupid, can you? Do you really want the fans that are there live, and a lot of the people on the WWE Network that would be watching, to boo and piss and shit all over a John Cena versus Randy Orton Hell in a Cell main event? Do you want that? Can you possibly be that obtuse and that stupid to believe that at this point in time, that is what the fans actually want, that is actually what is best for business? Ding dong, dumb dicks. This is a point in time where you need to be about creating new stars. You need to be, and you've needed to be for years, but of course, because you're so fucking stupid, you continue to not do so, and you continue to pound Cena and Orton down our damn throats. And doing them in the main event, having Cena and Orton in the main event at Hell in a Cell, is just more of the same old shit. Even the most conservative of companies has to realize at some point in time that if things are not trending in the right direction, eventually, if you continue to do the same things and get the same bad results, to continue to do the same damn bad things, to get the same damn results and be surprised about it, and then continue to stubbornly stick your feet in the mud and dig in and say, we're going to do the same damn thing, hope the result is different, have it be the exact same thing, if not worse, and wonder why the fuck that is. It just shows how stupid this company really, really is. WWE, I implore you. You wanted to do John Cena versus Randy Orton because you have this big fucking hard-on for these two guys in a feud or a rivalry. You just can't help yourself. Even when you say you won't go back to it, eventually you always come back to it. You think this is some type of epic encounter. You think this is great. You think this is this. No, the bottom line is it's shit. But I could deal with this shit if this match is opening the show. I could deal with this shit if this match is in the middle of the show. The match that needs to main event is Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, Hell in a Cell. The storyline is better. The match feels more fresh and original, therefore it will come across better to the audience. The audience is instantly going to be more engaged because of the individuals in the match itself. There are so many other things that lend themselves to this match being better with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, therefore instantly assuring me and anybody with a brain that this match has to main event. You even look at the styles of the performers of Ambrose and Rollins. They can have a much better Hell in a Cell match than a Cena and an Orton can. And again, at a time where you need to create new stars, in part to help extend the shelf life and careers of guys like John Cena and Randy Orton, where not only would they have new top guys to feud against in the future, helping make them and everybody else more fucking money, which you would think is the whole point of doing the thing in the professional wrestling business, is to make fucking money. It also takes some of the pressure off of them. They don't quite have to carry all of the weight of the damn company. Again, it's one of those just fucking do it type of things. I just see it now. Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn. Dunn's eating out of a big bag of carrots like they're fucking potato chips, and Vince is going, John Cena versus Randy Orton. Hell in a Cell. That's gotta close the night. No, it doesn't. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins has to close the night at Hell in a Cell. The storyline is better again. The characters are more interesting. The match components are going to be better. The action and styles of these two guys is going to make the match better. The fans are going to be more engaged and interested. And what a statement to sit there and say, guys like Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins are main eventing a pay-per-view as singles guys against each other. Here is an opportunity to not just make one big star, but two. But if you sit there and put them in the curtain jerker spot or put them in the middle of the card, I don't care what the apologists and the idiots say about, well, at the end of the day, card placement doesn't matter. Yes, the fuck it does! That's why the guy who wrestles in the main event, which in WWE is always the last match on the card, traditionally gets paid the most money. That's why they call the match at the end of the night the fucking main event in the WWE. You goddamn right it matters. It matters to the performers, it matters to the company, and it matters in the eyes of the fans, whether they're smart enough to realize it or not. If you sit there and have all of this and have spent all summer and into the fall cultivating Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose just to open up the pay-per-view with them, then that will truly show just how stupid this company is. And they will continue to drive away more fans. They will continue to see the ratings go down. And they will start to see more and more fans decide to take a pass and say, it's the WWE. I don't even need to fucking bother anymore. Here is a chance, WWE, to do some good things. To do the right thing. Do the right thing. Main event, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell at Hell in a Cell. You can't possibly be that stupid to think that anything else would be a good idea, can you, WWE?